Okay, then shall we start? I think it's time to begin our meeting. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It's very nice to see you all here in the ECS Gdańsk. I'm Tomasz Staniszewski, but first of all, I would like to introduce you our special guest, the CEO of Sigma Corporation, Mr. Kazuto Yamaki.
Thank you very much. Very nice to meet you.
So, a great pleasure, great opportunity to have you here and to talk about constant search of innovation. So that's the main topic of our meeting today.
Okay, thank you very much.
So I hope that during this special event in the ECS library, we'll learn where the ideas for unique solutions were born, what does it mean made in Japan today, how to create products which not only met the needs of customers, but also set new standards of quality and innovation in the industry. So I think that Mr. Yamaki explains us the history of Sigma and, of course, his thoughts on the future. But firstly, I would like just to remind that our meeting is a part of ЩwiatłoSiły Festival. So światło in Polish means light. Siła, it's power. So we're here to see why light is one of the most important creative elements of photography, not just as a technical aspect, but also a fundamental artistic element that shapes the mood, composition, etc. But above all, we would like to share more light on Sigma Corporation.
Okay, thank you.
We've divided our meeting into two sections. So after a short interview with Mr. Kazuto Yamaki, we'll start the Q&A session with our special guest from Japan. And here I would like just to remind that during this visit, Mr. Yamaki is accompanied by a group of engineers from Sigma. So they will be collecting feedback from you, from our ambassadors, from our friends, photographers. So it's a unique opportunity to ask questions directly to our guests from Japan. Okay, so to the main part, let's move to the main part of our meeting. Mr. Yamaki, konnichiwa, welcome to Gdańsk, welcome to Poland. I know that this is not your first visit in our country.
Yes, I think this is the fourth time to Poland, but the first time in Gdańsk.
Okay, so that's your first time here in Gdańsk.
Yes, so I'm very excited.
Okay, so this place, the European Solidarity Center, is a cultural institution. We're now in the library of ECS. So this place perpetuates the memory of Solidarność revolution, the collapse of communism in Europe. So we're short after 44th anniversary of the signing of Gdańsk agreements. So many, I think 10 million Poles joined the Solidarity, independent, self-governing trade union, the only one famous social organization in the communist bloc countries. So in the autumn of 1980, just before the registration of Solidarity Union, Lech Wałęsa, former president, revealed that his goal was to build a second Japan. So I'm not sure if you know this part of Polish history.
I do not know about it. Actually, I was high school student and university student from mid-80s to early 90s, and almost every day, a Japanese news program broadcasted what's going on in Poland, what Mr. Wałęsa was doing at the time, but I did know that he mentioned about Japan.
Okay.
But I see a lot of similarity between Polish and Japanese. Both of us are basically very hard workers. We work very hard. Actually, back then in 80s, Japanese was badly criticized as a workaholic from Americans or Western Europeans. But we had no choice but to work very hard to make our life better.
Okay, so 44 years ago here, it was also a pipe dream how a country immersed in a deep crisis and fully dependent on Moscow. Those days could catch up with the third economic power of the world and a symbol of modernity and innovation. We're now 44 years after. I would like to leave our former president ideas, of course, and I would like to focus on your company, your personal vision, your personal experience.
Okay.
So your company, Sigma Corporation, is a family company, one known, first of all, as one of the major global camera lens manufacturers, founded 63 years ago in 1961.
Yes, 1961.
JFK, John Fitzgerald Kennedy, he was sworn in as the President of the United States in 1961. I know that you're a music fan.
Oh yes, very much so, yes.
So the Beatles perform under this name at Cavern Club in Liverpool, also in 1961. Barbie gets her boyfriend when the candle was introduced in the United States. But I would like to ask you about Sigma Research Institute, established and set a Guy Award in 1961.
Yes. My father, when he was a university student, he worked for a small optics company, and he learned how to adjust or align the prism of the binocular. And he got a lot of money from that company. So after he graduated university, he started working for another small optics company because his salary was quite good. But when he was 27 years old, the company bankrupted because the company owner suddenly disappeared one day with company money. He seems to have the mistress, and he escaped somewhere with company money.
I've heard that with a girl.
A girl, yeah. And so he had to close down the company. Although he was very young, but he was one of the corporate executives at that time. And then after that, the suppliers of that small optics company asked my father to start a new company to continue the business. So that's the beginning of Sigma Research Institute.
Yeah, okay. When your father was launching the company, manufacturing in Japan was relatively cheap. Compared, of course, to other countries.
Yes.
But with the rise of standard of living, in Japan, production costs also have been rising. So that's why in the 90s, almost all of Japanese manufacturers of photography equipment, they decided to relocate manufacturing abroad. But you made a key decision that production should stay at home in Japan.
Yes. In 1985, the Japanese yen was appreciated, the valued higher artificially because the Japanese economy was so good. So in 1981 and also in 1985, sorry. And after that, in 1990s, Japanese yen gets really appreciated. So many companies offshore relocate the manufacturing site outside Japan: China, Thailand, Vietnam, Malaysia, Korea, South Korea. But we decided to stay in Japan mainly for two reasons. First, we wanted to make our products even better. So if we consider about the quality, we needed to stay in Japan because the workers have the knowledge to make even better products. So if we relocate the workers, the factory to outside Japan, we may lose the workers. So for the quality of product, we decided to stay. Second reason is that we are still family-owned company, and even today. So our responsibility is to protect the workers' job. If we have the newer factory outside Japan, normally company invest heavily such a new company, a new factory, because there are so many benefits, tax benefit, the lower laborers. So in this case, many companies shrink the factory in Japan or sometimes close down the factory. In this case, workers lose job. Yeah. So my father wanted to protect the workers' job.
And their families, of course.
Yeah, yes.
So the thing was simple. Product quality improvement was a must, and if Sigma was to survive.
Yes, right. Actually, many companies relocate the manufacturing site, factory outside Japan, so they could make a very cheap product. So from late 90s to early 2000, we gave up making the lowest price products. But instead of supplying the cheap products, we decided to focus on the high quality premium products. But since then, from the beginning, we worked very hard to make the best product, best quality product. But today, it's very important for us to focus on the quality. Otherwise, we cannot survive in this industry.
Okay. Small office, big factory. This phrase describes Sigma's unique production system, and I think that has been one of the fundamental principles since the day of foundation.
Yes.
So please explain us, what does it mean?
So small office, big factory means we have very little or lean organization for headquarters. We have very little sales marketing team, very little administration team like accounting, financing, and human resources. We have very lean organization, but we have big engineering team and the manufacturing team.
So it's still 75 to 25%?
Yeah, in headquarters, we have roughly 250 people working at our headquarters, but more than 70%, 75 to 80% of the people in headquarters are engineers. And we have 1,600 people working at our factory. So by keeping the organization small or lean, we can provide the best quality products at the lowest price. We always try to provide the best quality product at lowest price.
Okay, you still have your own small desk in the office room of engineers?
Oh yes, yes. Yeah, we built the new office 2 years ago, and we moved to the new office. But still, I don't have my own office.
Separate room.
Yeah. No. I always have the desk on the engineering floor because I can learn from them. Unfortunately, I'm not a very smart person, so I need to learn from them. And through the communication with engineers, I can learn a lot.
Yeah, so all the time they've got the possibility to talk with you directly.
Yeah, actually, do you know the CEO disease?
I think that we heard something about it.
Okay, so the typical CEO disease is the first CEO become deaf. We cannot listen to our
employees, yeah.
And then CEO becomes blind. They don't see the reality.
Okay, so
and then finally they become very arrogant. So in order to avoid being such a CEO, I try to stay with the engineers or workers and try to listen to their opinions. Sometimes it's very hard to listen to their complaints, but I need to listen to them.
Okay, so now we know what does it mean, CEO's diseases. Here I would like to draw the attention of all the participants of our meeting to Sigma's innovativeness from the very beginning of Sigma's existence. Mm-hmm. September 1961, Sigma offered industry's first teleconverter mounted between camera body and the lens. And it soon became a global standard. Mm-hmm. Then, the same year, 1961, the innovative Wywiady Yamaki system exchange of mount and
Mount
lens
system, yeah.
for different cameras, so
Yep.
historic milestones. And not only in my opinion, Sigma's priorities, yeah, creating innovative products and services. So that's the mission of your company.
Yes. First of all, when Sigma was founded in 1961, there are so many lens manufacturers in Japan. Some people say that there are over 50 lens manufacturers in Japan at that time, because the optics industry was so booming in Japan at that time. And the Sigma was one of the latest comer in the industry. So unless we were innovative, or unless we provide some unique product or unique service, we couldn't survive. So being innovative or being unique or breaking some status quo of the industry is one of our DNA. Otherwise, we could not survive.
Okay, so that's the part of the DNA of Sigma's corporation.
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
And also, it's very fun to try and challenge something the industry's standard, or trying to break the status quo. It's quite fun.
Yeah. Okay. It's nice to create something new, yeah,
Yes,
from the
yes.
beginning.
Yeah, yeah.
So here I'd like to ask you about the idea of creating precise lenses, how the idea is born. So a product which, about the products which has never been offered before, like Sigma 18 to 35, f1.8 DCDN, or equivalent Sigma 28 to 45, f1.8 DGDN. So how the decision was made, and who is responsible for taking decisions?
Okay, first of all, as for the 18 to 35 f1.8, we had no idea if there was a demand for such lens. But we just wanted to be a pioneer to make the world first f1.8 zoom lens. That's it. So we did not expect any sales of that lens. We just wanted to be a pioneer. But surprisingly, this lens was quite selling well, especially in the United States, in America. And we investigated how the lens was being used. And we realized that many videographers or many cinematographers use that lens to shoot films. And then it triggers our idea to enter the cine lens business. But in general, as for the new product planning, mainly there are three approaches, three ways to create idea. First, we have new product planning team. Actually, I named that team. Normally, this kind of team is called product planning team or product planning division. But we call them development support team, meaning the product planning division sounds like controlling the engineers or controlling R&D division. But actually, their responsibility is to help and support the engineers who really create products. So they are called product support, development support team at Sigma. So they come up with some ideas for the new product. They are one of the people who create idea. Second is engineer. Our engineers are basically photo enthusiasts. They join Sigma because they like photography or cameras, lenses. So they have their own ideas. And in my opinion, it would be the best if the engineer come up with some ideas and they were excited. This kind of products will be the very innovative products. And the third person is me. I always try to listen to the photographers or professionals' opinion or photo enthusiasts' opinion. And also I'm very happy to create my own idea. And then we exchange ideas or opinions each other, and we make a plan.
So next question is directly about your role, key role, because I've heard that you're walking on foot from your home to the office.
Yes,
Listen to the music.
Yes.
And you're thinking
and also
about
listen to radio.
Yeah, okay. So I'm the guy from radio.
Yeah.
Okay. And you're thinking about new products?
Yes, of course. If I arrive at the office, there is no time for me to be alone. There's no time for me to be by myself. Many people, because my desk is on the engineering floor, so I was either in a meeting or someone talked to me. Because I try to be as approachable as possible to the staff. So while I'm walking to the office, it takes about 1 hour from my house to office. It's a very nice, refreshing time to think about the new products, or think about the business strategy, or think about the organization of people. So this is a very important time for me to back and forth to the office and back home, 1 hour each.
Okay, so perfect moment just to think about,
or just relax, listening to radio or music.
Okay. Here I would like to emphasize one more time that your company is now one of the few manufacturers whose products are truly made in Japan.
Yes.
Could you explain to all of us what does it mean?
Yes. Our made in Japan, actually, we have only one location in the area called Aizu. So we call it made in Aizu. It's about 300 kilometers
from Tokyo.
North from Tokyo, yes. We have only one location. It's quite unique because, first of all, we have only one location. Normally, all other companies have multiple locations to avoid a risk. Some risk, including political risk, or environmental risk, or disaster risk. But we have only one location.
Because we're talking about Japan.
Yeah.
Sometimes we've heard about earthquakes.
Yeah, earthquake, volcano, everything. Yeah. But we have only one location. So this is quite unique. And also, we do almost everything by ourselves. We buy materials, but we process all kind of parts by ourselves. So we call it a vertically integrated factory, which is quite unique for the modern industry. Normally, all other companies focus on some key technology and outsource the parts or unit from the suppliers. But we do everything by ourselves. This is the second point. And third point is of course, we do everything by ourselves, but our capacity is not enough to meet the market demand. So we have many suppliers, but all of them are Japanese manufacturers, Japanese suppliers, located nearby our factory. So we call it local supply chain system. Normally, big company has a global supply chain system. They have a huge network to find the cheapest parts or unit available. But we focus on the local suppliers because we know everybody, all suppliers. They have relationship with us over 30 years, 40 years, 50 years. So we know the capacity, capability, and the people over there. And we know the best supplier in each segment. That way, so we have one location. We have very experienced workers in one location. And we do everything, so we know the technology. And we have the very long-term relationship suppliers, all of them to make the best quality products. If we miss one element of those elements, we may not be able to make the best quality products. So this is our made in Aizu or made in Japan concept.
Okay. What types of lenses are the most difficult, most challenging to develop?
In general, all of the lenses are quite difficult to develop. But in general, the standard zoom lens is the most difficult to design because the ideal lens construction for wide angle lens, like a 24 to 24 millimeter or 28 millimeter, and ideal lens construction to mid telephoto, like a 70 millimeter or 85 millimeter or 105 millimeter, it's quite different. So there must be some compromise whether we focus on the optical quality on telephoto side or wide angle side, and then we try to achieve the best possible optical quality. So the standard zoom lens is the most difficult lens to design.
Okay. Do you agree with the opinion that it's possible to create every type of lens, but it's only a matter of three zippers? Size and weight of the lens, quality, and of course, price of it.
Yes. That's a kind of trade-off always. If it can, the optical quality and the size and weight is totally trade-off. If the heavy, bulky lens normally performs better. But it's always a challenge for engineers, or for our challenge, to achieve the best quality in a very lightweight, compact size with affordable price. And not only Sigma, but all manufacturers, like Canon, Sony, Nikon, Tamron, they always challenge
problems,
for that direction.
That it's impossible to create something that will be light, cheap, and of course with great quality guarantees.
I don't want to say impossible. So engineers always work hard.
Difficult, yeah.
Difficult. It's true. It's difficult, but the engineers are working hard to achieve it.
Okay, so 2 days ago you showed the world something beyond standard. So the new Sigma lens, versatile and portable f2.8 optic with an extended 28-105 focal range, a standard zoom that goes, as I said, well beyond standard. What's your opinion about?
I'm very excited about that lens because it's a kind of dream lens. The 24 to 70 f2.8 is an absolute standard zoom lens in the industry today. But some people are not very happy because the telephoto focal length is not enough, especially for the wedding photography or portrait photography. They need a longer focal length. So many people ask me to create 24 to 105, not f4, but f2.8. And in order to achieve it, it's a compact, lightweight size, we had to compromise not the focal length at wide end, and not 24 millimeter, but 28 millimeter. But I'm very happy to create a very compact, lightweight, but very high optical performance 28 to 105 millimeter, f2.8.
Now, personal questions. Are you a photographer?
I'm a bad photographer, poor photographer.
Why?
Actually, when I was young, I did not like photography so much. I really liked sports rather than photography because it was, family business.
Okay.
And my friends, often tease me as a son of lens manufacturer. And, maybe if you were the son or daughter of the maybe ramen noodle shop, or, in Japan, there are many specialized, restaurants only serve sushi or ramen noodle or soba noodle. Soba is a buckwheat noodle. And typically the son or daughter don't like that kind of food because friend tease, or you are the son of the ramen noodle restaurant. The same for me. I do not like photography, so I did not take many pictures when I was young, but now I really love photography. Especially I like see photography, go to the photo exhibition. But for this business trip, I brought my own Sigma FP camera. And if I have a time, I like to take my camera in the town. And I really like street photography very much. So I like to take photo in Gdansk.
Okay. Many times we've heard that this business is a happy business for you. Mm-hmm. Could you explain us what does it mean?
Yes. My father always wanted me to take over his business. Even when I was this small kid, he always told me to take over the business. Actually, he almost every day drank alcohol, like not heavy drunk, heavy alcohol like vodka.
Just a glass.
He was a beer guy. He always drank a beer, and when he became drunk, he always pat my shoulder, and you have to take my business, and you have huge responsibility for the workers.
Remember about it?
Yeah. At that time, the Sigma had about 100 people workers, so he always told me that 100 worker means they have several families, 2 or 3 or 4 families. So you have 400 people's responsibility on your shoulder. So I really did not like take over his business because too much responsibility for me. Okay. So I really hated. He talked to me like that, but one day he told me that photography is a nice business because people take photo when they were very happy. So photography is a happy business. At that time, it was the first time for me to think about the taking over my father's business. At that time I was a kid, but maybe it might be a good idea to take over my father's business because photography is a happy business. If I can work for somebody's happiness, that would be great. So. Happy business is actually from my father.
Okay, so right after the graduation, you began to work at Sigma.
Yep.
At various and different positions and different departments. Mm-hmm. And it took almost 20 years. 20 years.
20 years. To be.
When you worked on different positions. In
departments yes.
At Sigma Corporation.
Yep.
So the next question is about your successor. What do you think about the future of the company in next, for example, 20 years?
Yeah, this is a very difficult question. I basically believe the company should not be owned by some private family, one family or some person, because the company is more like a public organization. It's supported by not only by the owner, but also supported by the workers. I started working for Sigma right after I graduated graduate school in Japan because I needed support from workers. I needed to work in the factory. If I work together, they accept me as a future leader. If I work for a bigger company like Sony or Canon right after I graduated university, and then come back to Sigma as a manager, they may see us as a fellow or colleague or a new leader. So support of the worker was very important for me. So likewise, the Sigma does not belong to the Yamaki family. It should be owned by everybody related to Sigma. So when I took over my father the position when he passed away 12 years ago, I thought maybe next generation should be, the next CEO should be someone from the employees who contribute to the company for a long time. Maybe next CEO could be the employee, but during this 12 years, I realized that as a CEO, every day I have to make a decision. And decision making is quite tough. If I prioritize money or profit, it's easy. But I always think about not only the profit, but also think about the employees.
The other side of this business.
Yeah, or the local community, or my father's idea or passion when he started the company. So I input all the elements and in my brain, and I make a decision. So maybe in the future, Sigma have some professional manager. They may prioritize the profit or money over many elements of the company. It may not be ideal for all stakeholders of the company. So I'm not sure. I have not made a decision, but I'm now thinking about because I'm already 56, so I have to think about the next generation, but still no clear idea about future.
Okay, so now one more question about the future. So the video market is developing more dynamically than the photography. So does this affect product planning and development, and if so, how?
Well, yes, but not so much, because engineers have to think about many factors when they develop products. The optical performance, size, weight, the aberrations, cost, everything. So paying attention to the video use is just one additional element, factors to design the product. So it's not a huge problem to design the lens.